Yo, what is going on guys? Jaeky here. Today we're going to be reviewing and checking out the Ducky 1X Mini. This is the world's first inductive keyboard by Ducky. So I actually haven't checked out Ducky keyboards in a long time. I know Ducky actually used to be pretty popular. I never owned any of their boards before, but it seems like they are hopping on the analog keyboard trend with their first ever inductive keyboard. So this is basically just another analog keyboard that utilizes analog triggers, so you can get stuff like rapid trigger as well as customizable actuation. So according to Ducky, their analog switches offer greater accuracy, consistency, and power efficiency over traditional analog switches. They support all of the traditional features of an analog switch, such as adjustable actuation, rapid trigger, as well as multi-tap. So you might be wondering, what exactly is an induction switch and how is it different from those fancy Hall effect switches that we keep hearing about? What makes inductive switches like Ducky's new switches so special, and why they might just be the future of mechanical keyboards? Let's start with Hall effect switches, which have been around for a while now. Hall effects use magnets to detect key presses. There's a small magnet in each switch, and when you press a key, the movement of the magnet changes the magnetic field and picks up that change and registers your key press. Hall effect switches are super durable because there's no physical contact in the actuation mechanism. But here's the catch. Magnets aren't perfect. Over time, their strength can decay, or you can run into inconsistencies in how they perform. For precision enthusiasts, that can be a deal breaker. Now let's talk about inductive switches like these new bad boys from Ducky. Instead of relying on magnets, these switches use electromagnetic induction. When you press the key, the motion changes the inductive field, and that's what triggers the input. This design is way more precise, like we're talking 0.1 millimeter key motion accuracy. That's insane. And it doesn't just stop there. Inductive switches are designed to avoid the issues Hall effect switches face, like decaying magnet strength or inconsistent trigger points. Another major advantage is power efficiency. These switches consume less power, making them perfect for wireless keyboards. To sum it up, inductive switches are all about precision, speed, and efficiency. Ducky's implementation takes it to the next level, making them the perfect choice for anyone who wants top-tier performance. So the Ducky 1X wireless comes in two different form factors. They have their 100% layout, which is going to retail for $179 USD, as well as this version right here, which is their 1X Mini, which is a 60% layout and will retail for $139 USD. So this is a wireless keyboard. You are able to use this wirelessly if you want. As you can see here on the top of the board, you have your wireless dongle right here, tucked away in its little own port, which is very nice, very convenient for traveling. So you can just put it in there if you're not using it. And then you have your little switch here on the top to switch between wired mode, Bluetooth, as well as the 2.4 gigahertz wireless. And then obviously you just have your USB-C port for using this in wired mode. So this is obviously great for those who want a wireless analog keyboard. There are two different colorways as well. Obviously here I have the black version. They also have a white version for both the 100% and 60% layout. In the box you get the keyboard itself as well as a warranty card. You also get a keycap puller, a braided USB-C to USB-C cable, and you have an adapter as well for USB-C to USB-A in case you don't have a USB-C port on your computer. Very nice quality cable, and I love the fact that it's braided. Also in Ducky fashion, you also get a unique spacebar. The unique spacebar for the Ducky 1X is going to be this dragon design right here. Let me actually take it out of its packaging so you can see it clearly. As you can see here, this is the design of the unique keycap. Very nice looking. It is shine through, and you just have a nice dragon design there. Speaking of keycaps, Ducky actually says that these are high purity PBT keycaps. So most PBT keycaps on the market contain only 40 to 60% PBT material. According to Ducky, their high purity PBT double shot keycaps has 85% PBT material. So a lot higher than the traditional PBT keycaps on the market, which makes these keycaps extremely shine resistant. You also get some extra keycaps in the box as well. These have a nice Pantone accent color, as well as the Year of Zodiac special design on there as well. So you can swap these out. They also give you a black enter key if you want to just have the entire keycap set be black. In the box, you also get this little guy, very cute. This actually pops out and it's a little cleaning brush. So you can just leave it on your desk and it looks super cute. It's just this little duck, but it also has a use if you want to use it to clean your keyboard. You can pull it out just like that. So very, very cool. The mounting style on the Ducky 1X is a gasket mount, and the plate material here is metal. The report rate on the Ducky 1X Mini is 1000 Hz, which is less than the 8000 Hz keyboards that we're seeing nowadays. But like I said in my review of those 8000 Hz keyboards, polling rates on keyboards, it doesn't really matter, and it really is just placebo. You will never hear me say that 8000 Hz on a keyboard is essential, because it's really not. 1000 Hz is more than enough on a keyboard. Going over the build quality here, it does feel very solid. The case here is mostly plastic with a little bit of metal to it, but it is a mostly plastic chassis. With that being said, it does weigh quite a significant amount. It is 895 grams for the 60%, and for the 100%, you are looking at 1,605 grams. So it does weigh a significant amount. Obviously not as much as a full metal chassis, but it does have a little bit of weight to it, so it does feel pretty solid in the hands. In terms of flex here, trying to bend the board, there's absolutely no flex to it, and shaking the board, there is no rattling whatsoever. So in terms of build quality, very solid. Lots of different hotkeys as well on the keyboard. As you can see, a lot of the legends are printed on the side of the keycaps, and you also have in the quick start guide a ton of different hotkeys to check the battery status, for example, or just to switch between different Bluetooth devices. So lots of hotkeys there. On the bottom of the board, you have 4 rubber feet, 1 in each corner, and also 2 flip-up feet as well with 2 adjustable layers. So you can choose between 3 different typing angles. The flat is going to give you an 8-degree typing angle. The first level here is going to give you an 11-degree typing angle, and then fully flipped out, you are getting a 14-degree typing angle. And if you're curious, this is the exploded view of the Ducky 1X. The Ducky 1X has 7 dampening layers, and if you pair that with the gasket mount design, it actually sounds very nice, which you guys will hear in the sound test later on in the video. But with all of that out of the way, let's actually get this board plugged in, and we can see the RGB and go over the software as well. Alright guys, here is the keyboard all plugged in, as you can see there. The RGB is actually pretty bright, and I'm pretty sure this isn't even the brightest level yet. But one thing I did want to mention earlier that I forgot is that the design language actually reminds me a lot of the Wooting 60HE. Just the way that the case is sort of slanted, and it has like this fat little forehead here at the front of the board, just reminds me a lot of the 60HE design language. Whether you like that or not is obviously subjective, but I think it looks like a very sleek board just straight out of the box. Alright, so now that the board is actually all plugged in, let's go over the software here for the Ducky 1X. So it is web-based software, which obviously you guys know that I'm a huge fan of. I love when companies do web-based software like Wooting and Newfie. They all do web-based software for their keyboards, which I absolutely love. Just makes it so much easier so you don't have to download any software onto your computer. So it looks like there is a firmware update, which I will download right now. Anyways, on the first tab here, you can rebind all of the keys as you would expect. You can also record macros as well. You can also change the function layer. So when you're holding down the function key, you can change what all of these different hotkeys do. Moving on to the lighting tab, this is where you can change all of the RGB. Looks like it was already at 100% brightness. You can change the effect here. Right now it's on rainbow, so we can do a static color if we want. If I choose static, I can change the color as well. Say I wanted a purple. There we go. Looks like everything automatically saves onto the board as well, so there's no need to press any save button or anything like that. Moving down to the actuation settings, this is where you're going to change all of the important stuff like your actuation point, as well as rapid trigger settings. So you can either select individual keys just by clicking on them up here, or you can select all of them. So far, the software here looks very basic, especially when you compare it to something like the Wooting, but I imagine as time goes on, they will update the web-based software and you'll get a lot more in-depth features. So as you can see right here, we can adjust the actuation from 0.1 all the way to 3.5 millimeters. I'm going to put mine to 1 millimeter. And then for the rapid trigger, you actually can't type in a specific number, which is interesting. I'm not sure if this is going to change in the future or not, but I would like to see them add a feature where you can specifically dial in the rapid trigger rather than just having 3 different settings for high, medium, and low here. Every other Hall Effect keyboard I've used, you can specifically dial in like the exact millimeter. But for now, I'm just going to leave the sensitivity on high. But yeah, that is pretty interesting that they decided to do that rather than just have exact numbers. But do keep in mind, like I said, the software is still very early stage. So I'm assuming this is all something they can change in the future. Moving on to the 4th tab here, this is your multi-point trigger. So you can have different actions here for how far you push the key down. And then the final tab here is where you can record different macros. So that's really about it. Very bare bones in terms of the software. You can just change very basic settings right now. I would like to see some other stuff. For example, I just saw earlier that the keyboard fell asleep for a second there, and I had to press it for the RGB to wake up again. I would like to see a setting inside of the software to change that, and also gamepad settings and the ability to change N key rollover would be nice also. all of these are features that the Wooting has. But yeah, in terms of the software, for now, it does all of the basics, and hopefully in the future, they will add more settings into the software. With that being said, let's move on to the sound test of the keyboard so that you guys can get an idea of how this keyboard sounds. Moving on to the performance test, you guys already know I like to start with a notepad test. So basically, I'm just going to feather the key here inside of notepad, and I do have it set to 1mm, and I'm barely feathering the key right now, and it is actuating as intended, so it feels very nice. Now I'm going to press down the key and just lift it up slightly, and it looks like it does stop registering as soon as I lift my finger off the key. Really good. Reminds me a lot of my Wooting, and really just every other Hall effect keyboard that I've tried lately. Like I say in all of my other analog keyboard review videos, analog keyboards are getting so good nowadays that if it's implemented correctly, they are really just neck and neck with each other in terms of performance. Alright, so now we are inside of the range, and I can confirm that it works exactly the same as every other analog keyboard I've tried, including my Wooting. I really just can't tell a difference between the two. Just ADing here inside the range feels just as snappy as my Wooting 60HE, the Wooting 80HE, and pretty much every other Hall effect keyboard that I've reviewed recently. So really good in terms of performance, no complaints at all. So yeah guys, overall the Ducky 1X Mini, very solid keyboard with tri-mode connectivity. So if you are needing a analog keyboard that supports Bluetooth connection as well as 2.4 gigahertz connection, this is going to be a keyboard that you want to keep your eye on. For $139 USD for the 60% layout, it's really not priced too bad. You can find cheaper Hall effect keyboards, but those don't support 2.4 gigahertz wireless or Bluetooth. So like I said, if you are needing those features, then this is definitely something that you want to look at. Build quality is very solid. Although you aren't getting a full metal chassis, this keyboard is still built really well, and the sound quality as well is really nice. Performance wise, it is top tier and is pretty much on par with something like the Wooting. Even though it doesn't support 8000 Hz polling rate, 8000 Hz polling rate in my opinion is unnecessary on keyboards. So in my opinion, you're really not missing out in terms of that. But yeah guys, huge shout out to Ducky for sending this out for review. If you guys want to check out this keyboard, I will of course leave all of the relevant links in the description below. But that is pretty much it guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.